I channeled verbatim. I know who the serpent is in the Garden of Eden.
LMAO.
As per usual, we speak in metaphors over here. So what was shown to me with this beautiful channel quote is that the purported story of the Garden of Eden, how Eve purportedly bit the apple, she was tempted by the serpent, who was never named, but a lot of individuals call the serpent the devil, even though the serpent was never given a name in the Bible story. He's getting called the fucking devil, but the serpent is actually Lilith. I believe it's in Judaism or something, or Kabbalah, that Lilith is purportedly in those scriptures as Adam's first wife. We do know that Eve is the traditional wife of Adam. We know that these are actually metaphors. It's the serpent in the Garden of Eden, because remember, it was Eve who took the forbidden fruit. Eve was the moon, the light attribute, someone's moon sign in their natal chart. And Lilith, the serpent that crept along, that tempted that moon sign to doing something forbidden, is the Lilith. So Lilith in astrology sometimes is referred to as the black moon. There are 4 different Liliths, but typically the Lilith that is referred to as the black moon is the one that is most popularly used, so that's what we'll be utilizing here. I told you the story about that with the channeled quote. Now, how this relates to energy, we know that metaphorically the Garden of Eden, the place where Adam and Eve were, we do know that Adam and Eve are metaphorical representations of Adam, the conscious mind, and Eve, the subconscious mind. Eve's the subconscious.
Now we're taking it into astrology.
Take a look at the subconscious mind, and then we look at that, the moon sign astrologically is the subconscious mind. Lilith is the one that we are looking at as well, because it still is well subconscious feminine energy, but it is the dark side of the subconscious. It's the temptation. And typically in astrology, the moon Lilith, their moon sign will be the temptation of their natal regular moon sign. So this is how the metaphors of the Eve and the Lilith as coming in from the serpent in the Garden of Eden, tempting, slithering along, feminine energy. It's more slithery. It kind of slithers along, and then so you might notice in your astrological chart, you give into temptations of your moon Lilith. Okay, so that is where you would give into your temptations. Your natal moon sign, the light moon, that would be the Eve. It's how you're feeling on the inside on an emotional level. That's how you feel. That's how you process emotions. Handle temptation and the potentialities of what would tempt you. So let's say you have Aries moon and you have that in your light moon. Okay, so you would just, your feelings, you would be interpreting things from a feeling scope of Aries energy and processing emotions in terms of Aries energy, right? That's what you would be doing. It's different from your Lilith sign. Emotions that you have going on within you has a darker connotation to tempt you. Something you're curious about on an emotional level, but you might not necessarily admit it to yourself because it tempts you. It's a side of your moon, it's a side of your emotional nature that tempts you and beckons you to feed into it. Not necessarily in an evil or malicious way, but it's a side of your emotions that you don't really want to seem to explore because it feels forbidden. Just like the snake slithering in the Garden of Eden, the forbidden fruit, Lilith, representative metaphorically with Eve. Think of this on a feeling level. Your moon, that's how you're feeling. That's how you sense that you're feeling. And you are in the emotion feeling sense when you adopt and incorporate the emotional feeling sense of your dark moon Lilith, because now the dark moon is liberating the light moon, right? So they're kind of unifying, just like when Eve bit into the apple. A famous quote was said, now behold, the man has become as one of us. So when Eve bit the apple, she rectified everything, right? Because now they became as gods, because before that they were considered different from the gods and separate from the gods. Biting into the apple, the temptation really liberated them, if you want to think of them in like humanoid vessels, right? But we know they're metaphors. I'm just saying they're states of mind. So when you liberate everything, when you allow the temptation to go, because it feels forbidden, remember, your Lilith sign astrology are the emotions that you want to feel, but you're like, it might be shocking to you if you're, especially if your light moon is in a different sign. If they're in the same sign, then it might be a different experience, where sometimes it can be someone doesn't really know what they feel, or they feel things just extremely intensely, because that sometimes can happen with functions like that. If you do notice a difference in the energies of your dark moon Lilith and your light moon, the Eve, what allow yourself to give into the temptation to explore where your dark moon is and explore those characteristics and see if they suit you on an emotional level. That might be a little more in depth of your personality, because then when you rectify that, you understand all of your emotional wants and needs and cravings and desires, right? You like the dark side, but you balance it with the light side. This way you are rectified as God. And if you choose to go into a little taboo, because remember, Lilith is about sex and shit too, so if you choose to go into some taboo things, as long as y'all consenting adults, you know what I'm saying, whatever taboo things, you notify your Lilith sign with your moon sign, in every aspect of your emotional fulfillment, because now you're allowing the temptation to intermingle with your personality, so it's not forbidden anymore. So therefore there is nothing in you for you to really be shameful of in your emotional nature, because sometimes taboo topics, like let's say you want someone to like lick chocolate sauce off of all your fucking fingers. I mean, that's a kink for someone. Lilith sign, let's say you thought that was forbidden, someone licking chocolate sauce off your fucking fingers. Someone thought that, or toes, I don't fucking know, or other areas, someone is doing that. What I'm saying is that incorporate the dark moon and those characteristics. They might find some things that they were drawn to but they thought was forbidden, but now that they rectified it, it's not even forbidden. It's just like, well, that's my personal preference. I want chocolate on fingers and shit.
I don't fucking know. What the hell are we talking about?
That is what I have for you in terms of putting all of that shit together. Who is Lilith, the Garden of Eden, the serpents, and then it just helps to rectify the emotions. Something that you think is forbidden, right? You're actually making it bigger, and you're turning it into shit that you don't want in your experience, right? Because you're trying to suppress the dark side instead of integrating it and realize it isn't that dark. It obviously depends, but it's going to be something of an emotional nature that is able to catch your attention. When you rectify it in yourself, now that thing isn't going to be able to tempt you anymore, because you've incorporated your dark moon, your temptations, with your light moon, what you are naturally feeling. So now you, if you choose to dabble in something that maybe once tempted you but now it isn't, the choice is up to you. It's not like you're being drawn hypnotically there. It's like you have the control, because when you rectified, you bit into the apple, behold, the man now has become as one of us. You have rectified your dark side in terms of emotions with your light side in terms of emotions.